if a woman doesn't like me when I got back into the dating world, if she doesn't like my friends, that's saying she doesn't like me on a fundamental level. Because my friends are a reflection, my brothers are a reflection of who I am.
What brotherhood means to you?
It means everything to me. I wouldn't be where I'm at without my brothers. You are who you surround yourself with. And there's so many guys that are going through life right now with zero friends. So in this complex society that we live in right now, men are isolated. And I think the biggest threat to society is the lack of brotherhood, the lack of tribes. And I'll say this, like, we have evolved over, the course of human history to exist in tribes, to hunt, to go to war, to, plan out where they were going to migrate the tribe, whatever that looked like. Men were always talking to each other and building off each other. So to me, my brothers are my family. They're the family that I choose. You have the family you're born with, and then you get the opportunity in this life to pick the family you choose. My first marriage, I made the mistake that so many men do, which is I listened to my wife, and she went about isolating me from my friends. It was catastrophic for me. And I realize now, when I got out of that marriage, the brothers that I had been isolated from showed up, and I was never, ever going to make that mistake again.
Life is hard for most people. I know it's hard for me. But I think about the friends and brothers that I have in my life. They're the ones that you can call whether it's a good or bad thing. Most of the communication I have with my friends is jovial. Most of it is actually based in just laughing and talking trash and having fun. And there's such a joy, I think, that comes from these people in your life. I can't imagine how much harder it would be if you were one of these guys that are saying, I don't have any good friends. My heart breaks for that. I can't even relate to that.
I'm excited about this one. I have two men in the room right now with me that I would consider two of my best friends. And I would actually, we're going to talk about the delineation between friends and brothers. Like, I would consider you guys my brothers. And I think brotherhood is a topic that is really important. I think there's a lot of men out there that are missing brotherhood in their life. And so I'm just excited to have two guys that, I consider brothers, that I respect a lot, that I trust a lot, that I cheer for, that cheer for me, that I have their back, that I know that they're always going to have my back as well. And, hopefully we get to show the audience today what that looks like, what true brotherhood looks like. So I want to start out this way. Let's start generally by just talking about what brotherhood means to you personally. And Adam, I'll start with you on this one.
Oh man, broad sense. What does brotherhood mean to me? Honestly, it means everything to me. I wouldn't be where I'm at without my brothers. You are who you surround yourself with. I really believe that. Like, the people that you surround yourself with, the energy you surround yourself with, it just makes all the difference. And there's so many guys that are going through life right now with zero friends, to your point earlier. Like, there was a study not long ago that, men were polled how many close friends they had, and the average answer was zero. Wow. And so in this complex society that we live in right now, men are isolated, and we're put on islands, and then we're mitigated, and we're told we're bad. And I think the biggest threat to society is the lack of brotherhood, the lack of tribes. And I'll say this, like, we have evolved over, the course of human history to exist in tribes. Men met together like every single day, to hunt, to go to war, to, plan out where they were going to migrate the tribe, whatever that looked like. Men were always talking to each other and building off each other. And so to me, my brothers are my family. They're the family that I choose. You have the family you're born with, and then you get the opportunity in this life to pick the family you choose. And when I went through, I was married, twice. I'm in my second marriage now, but my first marriage, I made the mistake that so many men do, which is I listened to my wife, and it's not a knock on her, it's how women are wired. And she went about isolating me from my friends, telling me that I needed to be home, I needed to take care of this and that. And it was catastrophic for me. And I realize now, when I got out of that marriage, the brothers that I had been isolated from showed up, and I was never, ever going to make that mistake again. I was like, dude, if a woman doesn't like me when I got back into the dating world, if she doesn't like my friends, that's saying she doesn't like me on a fundamental level. Because my friends are a reflection, my brothers are a reflection of who I am.
Travis, what does brotherhood mean to you?
That's a good answer. I really like what you said about the, your brothers or your friends being the family, and brothers being the family that you choose. Life itself is hard for most people. I know it's hard for me, right? And what I think about the friends and brothers that I have in my life, it is very much the ones that are trying to make this as enjoyable and fun and easy, or at least supported as possible. They're the ones that you can call whether it's a good or bad thing. And I notice with most of the communication that I have with my friends is jovial. Most of it is actually based in just laughing and talking trash and having fun. And that's really what it is. Even ones that live across the country, and I don't see that much, always joking with each other. And so there's such a joy, I think, that comes from these people in your life. But I think so many times I've reached out to friends when either I needed something or I just needed to process something, and or there's different challenges that was going on in my life, and it's like, here, life is so hard. I can't imagine how much harder it'd be without these people in your life. I can't imagine how much harder it would be if you were one of these guys that are saying, I don't have any good friends. The memories that you're not getting, like the laughs you're not getting, the experiences you're missing out on. I mean, my heart breaks for that. I can't even relate to that. But as I think about it, put myself in their shoes and try and empathize with it, that is such a sad situation, because I think we all, we're all doing different things, and we all know how hard it is to, whether it's go, start something, or, produce an income, or keep a woman happy, or whatever. And when you have guys that can empathize with that and be a part of your core circle, and truly, like, they want what's best for you and you want what's best for them at all times. God, it's such a huge support that you have in this life to have that. I can't imagine going through life without it.
Yeah. Can I jam in one more thing
on
that? Because you just made me not think of this, but when I hear guys that are going to therapy, I often think they probably don't have good friends, because what you're describing is therapy. Like, if I go to the gym and if I have my buddies, I'm happy. Like, I'm happy.
You walk out
I can get through anything in life. If you're talking shit on each other, you're laughing about stuff. It doesn't have to be a therapy session. You just sit down and you're with your buddies. I can be happy without a woman in my life. Now, I'm happily married. My wife is the best person I know, and I'm intensely grateful for her. But if I didn't have a woman in my life and I had my buddies and I had the gym, it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple.
Simple, man.
That's therapy. That's life. That's everything, dude. Life is good. It's really good.
Amen.
So you inspired me to.
I want to talk a little bit about our dynamic. So one of the unique things about this brotherhood that we have here is, although I've known Travis for a lot longer than I've known Adam personally, I think our brotherhood is more recent, right? So this is a brotherhood that I would say has been developed over the last year with all of us. And I think a lot of men at this stage of their life, they have a really hard time, like, bringing new people into their tribe, right? So they hold on to these past relationships, whether these relationships with their buddies, their brothers, are serving them, whether they're lifting them, whether these people are still, have some of the qualities that you guys talked about. So how does that happen? Like, as I try to unpack, just for people listening, how this happened between the three of us, and I know these are individual relationships, but how do you guys think that these sort of bonds can be formed at this stage of our life? Adam, I'll start with you.
Well, speaking specifically to us, you hit me up on some social media stuff, and we had a conversation. I was down in Tijuana getting some stem cells, and I remember exactly where I was at. We're having this conversation. I don't remember the first time we met up, but I do remember the first time we met up that you touched my inner thigh. And
that was it.
And I was hooked. I was like, I don't know Tyler that well. Like,
dude, he did the same thing to me. Touch my inner thigh.
And I was like, this is a bro. Like, this is a dude I could hang out with, man. Because there was, there's a lot of reasons. It's funny. It puts you outside of your comfort zone when that happens initially. But more importantly than that, it was authentic. It was just like, that's how you build relationships. You don't go and try and be a friend or try and make a friend. You just be yourself. You be authentic, and you show up. And I think that's where real connection starts. And it was certainly the case with our brotherhood, which is fairly recent.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of this on the way over here, and the best I could come up with is there is kind of an energetic thing to it, and there's also a mutual respect. Like, you know, I see obviously you guys much more on social media than you would see me, because I don't really do much with it. But I just immediately knew that you were good dudes. You were just good guys, and the whole thing. And so that opened up for me. It wasn't that I was like, trying to become anybody's friend or anything, but when the opportunity came to be closer with you guys, why wouldn't I take that? You're just good dudes. And, I admire, for example, the relationships that you have, the kind of fathers that you are. And that's really one of the main things that I pay attention to is, how happy is this man's wife or, girlfriend or something like that? How's he treat her? And so I pay attention, to just different ways that you're living your life. And so when the opportunity came to get closer to the guys, it was a kind of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. I think these things, I think you guys are both right. Like these things don't really happen by design, and I'm not sure they're supposed to happen by design. I think brotherhoods like this are supposed to happen very organically. I think, you're going to attract a certain type of person. There's a reason it's you two sitting in here and not two other random dudes out there, because those other guys out there, we probably just don't attract the same, mindset, the same, core beliefs. We're not into the same things. And so I think it's beautiful when, to both your point, these things just come together beautifully. And one day you poke your head up and you go, man, these guys are my guys. I want to ask you guys this one. How would you, Adam, I'll start with you again. How would you describe me and Travis to a stranger? So let's say you're hanging out with some guys. They're like, hey, I saw you're hanging out with this Tyler and this Travis guy. I've never met these guys. What are they all about? How would you describe us individually?
Well, gay. Can I say that? Those are my straight gay buddies. Like we're all super straight. We're in a relationship, but it's like, no, I don't know. I would just say like, these are guys, like to your point and what you were saying earlier, Travis, there is an energy exchange in all relationships, right? And I think we pick up so much of a relationship by things not said or even things done, but by this exchange of energy. And the energy that I feel from both you guys is like intensely authentic. So like, you can be around people that are authentic and they're assholes and you can still like them, because they just are who they are, right? You see that, like, this guy's a dick, but he's kind of cool. You like him because he just is who he is. There's no hidden agenda. They're not trying to get anything from you. They're not trying to present something a certain way, a facade. It is, you just get, like, it is what it is. You can judge the book sort of by its cover. And so I would say with both you guys, these are just guys like, I know who they are. And I knew it pretty much the first time I met. First time you and I met, I remember that. We were at dinner at an Italian restaurant. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And you don't know people. I didn't know anybody there except Kylie, and I was just kind of dating her. And you're friends with Kylie. You've known her for a long time, so that's how we met. But I don't know at what point in the conversation. But at some point, we started talking about airsoft, which was totally not like on the agenda of what you would talk about with strangers.
You had a great story, dude.
And I'm such a nerd, and so I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna full nerd it, dude. Maybe they won't like it or not, but in the effort to be authentic. And you just picked it up, and we were jamming on it, and there was just this energy exchange. Like, man, this guy is cool, because I felt like what you were presenting was very authentic. And same thing for you, Travis. So I think that, to me, that's the highest praise I can give somebody, is that they're authentic.
Yeah. What about you? How would you describe Adam individually and then me individually to a stranger?
First off, this is actually one of my favorite things to do, and I think guys need to do this more often. Okay, yeah. And one of my love languages is words of affirmation and all that, and this tease it up. But if you do a birthday dinner with your buddies, make sure at some point during that birthday dinner, everybody goes around and says one nice thing about the birthday person. Yeah. Okay, that's more important than blowing out the candles and all that. It will create a spirit in that room of brotherhood that you will absolutely appreciate. Yeah. And it will last you a year, I promise you. So, Ty, what I see in you as an example, you're incredibly genuine, very, very good listener, very heart driven. I think you really genuinely care about other people. I know my wife felt that from you. Like she walked away from talking to you and just like, I love the way he communicates. I love the way he listens. I love the way he just, asks really deep questions and want to have, that's another thing. You're not a surface level guy. One thing I thought was really interesting when I stayed at your house, it was really fun for me to go around, that kind of man cave you have and see just different parts of your personality. So for example, your cologne wall, which there's probably like $40,000 worth of cologne on this.
Do you have Sex
on
Panther?
This wall.
I have them all.
But he walked me through every one of them and what he likes about it and the different palettes of it. We smell these different things. And I actually found it incredibly fascinating. I was like, this is cool. I could get into this, and then he had guns in his shoes and all the things, I guess we didn't talk about the weird glasses you wear all the time, but like, you're just an incredibly genuine dude. A good man. So yeah, that's how I view you. And Adam, the very first thing that comes to mind when I think of Adam is a man's man. He's just a man's man. He's a cool looking guy. He's handsome as hell. He's got the cool voice, just a man's man. Like I can see why you are a leader of men. I can see why you started a men's podcast. I've never once felt anything but warmth from you. Like you're very, very just kind and welcoming. I don't feel any ego off of you. And I think you probably get, people probably think you would have one, but you actually just want everybody around you to win. I think you're a phenomenal husband, really phenomenal father. And yeah, those are the things I've seen you guys.
That's beautiful.
Thanks, Travis.
Yeah, thank you. So similar question, but different. I want you to imagine you run into somebody that knows me and knows Travis, and we'll start with me. And they start bad mouthing. It's a group setting, and someone's running their mouth saying, "Oh, Tyler Hall, I guess an idiot. He's a loser, whatever." How do you respond in that situation?
Well, first off, I will immediately not like them. And I like most people. But if they don't, it goes back to that idea that it's the family that you choose. So that's a reflection of me. Like if you're talking poorly about my buddies, or if you're talking poorly about my wife, or you're talking poorly about my kids, I take that deeply personally. So I feel like you're talking poorly about me. And so the response would be to shut it down immediately and probably try to make them feel stupid. I can get kind of petty sometimes when it gets like that. Like I'm not normally that way, but like if somebody hits something that I love, it's like a declaration of war in my mind.
It's so funny. I definitely get, like, if you ask Justin, who is his most loyal friend, like I'm at the top of that list, I guarantee it. I love being loyal to my friends. And so I don't care if it's online or in person, I love getting into these exchanges. But one thing I have learned in these situations is I will probably give them a little bit of rope before I go into it.
You're more sophisticated and
maybe I am,
and much more intelligent. So
no, I just want to hear what the fuck they have to say.
I got you. You're playing chess.
Oh yeah. Like tell me why you feel that way.
Kind of lean into it a little bit.
Yeah. So what happened? Tell me, this kind of thing. Yeah. And I think my personality now would dive into that a little bit more. I'd want to hear what else they had to say before I went into it. But I would have absolutely no problem being like, bro, you are missing the boat on this one so bad. It's unbelievable. And it's actually sad that you are, because these are such good guys. And I know it reminds me of how I feel about my wife. If you have an issue with my wife, something's wrong with you. Like that's what it is, dude.
Bingo.
So
what would you guys say are some of the qualities of or characteristics of a brother, right? Because we're going to talk a little bit about this concept that I call circle management here in a little bit. And the general idea of this is you have your sacred inner circle. These are people you would die for. And then from that sacred inner circle, you have another tier of people. We can put definitions around that. And you have another tier and another tier. But the idea of circle management is that you should frequently assess who's in that sacred inner circle. And probably it should change from time to time. And so you have to say who still belongs in the circle, who needs to come in, and who needs to go out. And maybe they go to a different tier, for example. So as you guys think about those layers, what are the characteristics that you guys look for in men, specifically brothers, that would allow them to be inside of that sacred inner circle? I'll start with you, Travis.
So the first thing came to mind for me, and by the way, I do think this is a very good practice to reevaluate, where people stand in your life. People in the inner circle, there's a standard to it. We've talked about energy as well. You're going to connect with certain people in a certain way, but I think that there is a standard. It's not that you always have to be, living to each other's standards or whatnot, but people that are in that inner circle, if they start to fall off of that standard, like we would have a conversation with each other, and that standard includes how you're treating other people in your life, how you're treating, each other, the way, you're showing up in your life, how hard you're trying to, be your best person, this kind of thing. It's like having these inner circles is not just, what's the word? It's not just like a given thing. Like I feel like there's just, there's a certain way that kind of a responsibility that comes with it, the way that you show up for each other. And so when someone's falling short of that, which it's going to happen, you're going to fall short, they're going to fall short, whatever. That's why you do need to reevaluate. And that's why boundaries exist. But one thing I've noticed is that when there's someone who has been in my inner circle, it's amazing how quickly they can get back. And it's amazing how, you may not see them for 10 years and they're still there. Like I've got some people that I will just care about constantly, it doesn't matter how much I see them. They're just someone that I love immensely. So I don't know. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about it.
I think I probably approach this differently than you guys because I mean this genuinely. This isn't to be self-deprecating, but I think both of you guys are a lot more intelligent than I am. And so you guys probably process. I'm not very analytical. I'm kind of an intuitive person. And so the inner circle absolutely changes. And I know exactly what you're talking about. If it happens naturally, I don't really process it as much maybe. So one thing is like if I have a lot of guys, buddies that I like being around. I think they're cool. But I don't trust them. And I can like guys and not necessarily trust them because I don't trust them to show up. You can pretend to care, but you can't pretend to show up. So there's guys I just wouldn't lean on if there was something that I really needed because I don't trust them. And it's not even an attack on them. It's just, for me, that inner circle are guys like I know whatever is going on, those dudes are going to have my back, whether it's behind my back or with me, facing things. When I went through the divorce, the hardest stretch of my life, and I'd been isolated from my friends for a long time. It was amazing how many of those guys just showed up when they knew what was going on. And those guys are like sacred to me, forever. There was something about just showing up and being there, not being asked. There wasn't expectations. I don't think friendships work well with expectations, like real authentic friendships. Mm-hmm. They just happen. You just show up and you're just there. But those are the guys that are closest to me. They're just the guys like I know if I had a body in my trunk, they would come help me bury it. That's the kind of like trust that I have with these guys. Like they would be there for me through thick and thin, and vice versa. I'd be there for them as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, a lot of this comes down to every relationship in that sacred inner circle. Each of them have a unique exchange of value, meaning I can deliver them certain things into their life that's valuable, and they can bring things back to me that are valuable. So there's always this exchange of value. And when I say value, this doesn't mean transactional or monetary. It could mean one of my buddies, I just really enjoy being around him and he makes me happy. We laugh together, for example. Another one is I know that this person can hold space for me. I can share things with them openly. I can let them see all of me, and there's going to be no judgment. And another one could be financially driven. It could be a business partner that's in that sacred inner circle. The value we deliver to each other is we drive each other in business, which ultimately affects our families and the rest of our lives, right? So I view every relationship as a mutual exchange of value. And I think for me, when it gets imbalanced, when you have to make a decision on moving somebody out of that, is when the value exchange is too lopsided. You want it to be roughly 50-50 over long spans of time. So certain times you're going to need me more than I need you. And other times I'm going to need you more than you need me, vice versa. But if that persists for too long to where I'm pouring, giving all the value and it's never being reciprocated, at some point I need to make a decision and say, I just can't keep doing this, right? And so I know that may feel harsh, but to your point, it's like, dude, once you stop showing up, you're kind of walking your way out of that circle.
Mm-hmm. And I think there's like a real energy, like you were saying, Travis, earlier, but there's a real energy. So a lot of mine, it evolves naturally in the inner circle because you have buddies that you were best friends with in high school or college, and they haven't really done anything with their life. They're not moving on. And it's not a criticism of them. It's just a different type of energy. So I love them. If I see them, it's great. We catch up on old times. But there's an energy draw on that. A lot of times it feels like you kind of walk away from that being like, not synergized. And like when I'm with you guys, I feel like pumped up. I feel like I'm ready to go. Like there's a lot of energy that you guys are bringing into the exchanges that we have with one another. And that's because how you guys live your lives. You guys are high level guys. You're doing high level stuff. I'm trying to do the same thing. And so there's a natural inner circle for me that kind of forms around that. You start making connections. It was kind of how we connected, right? Like it was just like, we're both in this space of doing stuff and it creates a connection. And those friendships can build really fast when you're in that same sort of energy state.
That's actually a really interesting point, because like when I think of really the guys that I love and admire the most, there is that admiration for what they're doing with their lives. But I think of one guy, for example, that I wouldn't put him in the inner circle, but I don't know if I laugh more with a human being than I do with this person, and there's so many. It's funny, if I were to take the entire person as a whole, there's so many things I don't agree with this person. But when we get together, we just laugh our asses off and have a blast. And so I just let the friendship be that. I don't try and make it more than it has to be. It's just like, how can I enjoy this person the absolute most? And that's what it is. It's just when we do this, But inner circle, it is more encompassing than that.
And I would put that, I'm glad you said that, because that's a light bulb in my head for trying to articulate this point, is that humor is a huge part of that inner circle for me. Because if you can't exchange humor, like if you can't say certain things around someone because they might be offended or it'll be awkward, for me, that's like a litmus test for how healthy your relationship is whether you can laugh with each other and say whatever is on your mind and no one is walking away offended or feeling awkward.
If you're in a group that you can't totally be yourself, like authentically say the jokes that come to mind and feel like they're funny, or you feel like you're walking on eggshells or something like that, you just haven't found your group yet.
Dude, and
you have not found your inner circle yet.
And they're soul killing. Like those social settings where you can't be funny and you're just like, dude, how do I get out of here, man? Like I'm drained when I get out of there. But yeah, you guys, like our text message thread is just so stupid, bro. But I'm like literally laughing out loud, like that stuff really is like the glue for a relationship for me is humor. I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's a really important part of a good friendship.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of the humor that we talk about, we would never talk about, too publicly, because again, like it's whether it's humor or showing up as your fully genuine, authentic self. I mean, again, like you guys know things about me that a lot of people don't know about me. And it's because it's unfiltered when we're together. And it's like, I know that I can say whatever I want to say about anything at all, period, end of story. And it doesn't matter. Say anything. And you guys are going to receive that and you're going to say whatever you want to say. And I think being in an environment where there's no filtration system involved, that's freedom, baby.
It makes me think of those reels where they're like getting arrested by the FBI because they found their text message thread.
Or they're the pearly gates and it's like,
oh yeah, you can't get in. I've got you like your stream of conversations with your homies. And I was like, dude, I could relate to that so much.
If somebody watched I'll start with you, Adam. If somebody watched a montage of our friendship, what 3 scenes would definitely be in it?
Oh man, I think that one of them would be for sure when we were at your house just the other night, like a few weeks ago, watching the game, having some drinks, and Dude, that was just such a vibe.
It was so fun.
It was just such a vibe, and it was like completely like not like scripted or anything like that. It wasn't. We were just like, dude, we're going to Deion Sanders. You guys showed up. We're standing there. Dude, your wife was killing me, man. She was so funny, bro. She made
hungry.
Yeah. No, but even before then, dude, I laugh about this. This runs on repeat in my head still. Like you guys were ahead of us a little bit. We're standing, in the nosebleed sort of with Deion Sanders at that Vivint event. And Deion's talking about how he's never had alcohol. And your wife turns around and whispers, the guy's so sad. I was just
Kylie goes, he's making me feel bad.
Yeah, and your wife was just like, this is so sad. He's never had a drink.
You know what I said back to Kylie? I was like, no. For us, it was like a liberating thing. Yeah. Okay. For him, it was gonna, everybody was doing it. My role, I had to open up to it.
Oh, it was so funny, man. It just killed me. And then that kind of the after party and hanging out, so welcoming. It was just like there was nothing that felt like you're walking on eggshells. Sometimes when you go into somebody's house, you don't really know how to conduct yourself because there's kind of things that are taboo.
Well, we know Kylie and my wife felt comfortable.
Oh yeah,
just the full on conversation, middle of the game, across the room as loud as they can. Like, just so you ladies know, you're welcome to sit by each other.
Yeah. They didn't care.
You're right.
They had such a good time that Kylie, I think, literally passed out on the way home, bro. She was sauced up, dude.
Bro, I love Kylie. Kylie, we didn't go to college or anything together, but I think I knew her when she maybe was in college or at that age.
Yeah.
So it's almost like how, the show Friends has its like group that are in a certain stage of life. That's kind of how I view her. It was like, she's like a college buddy or something, but like someone I knew at a very fun part of my life, and she and her friends, I like some of my favorite women. I love them.
Well, and I feel like my wife did really pull in that connection, literally for us as friends. I mean, that's where it started. So I kind of feel like I got to be part of the friends group because I was associated with Kylie. So that's top of the list for our friendship. I think Tyler, when we were out at, and this is where Kylie, so my wife, she really was just like, same thing your wife, like, dude, I really like Tyler. We were just sitting at that sushi restaurant, that Japanese restaurant. I can't remember what we were going to Lake Effect afterwards or something like that.
Oh, was it some event? Oh, we went to the...
Oh, no, we went to that...
Went to that charity event.
The charity event, yeah. So we went to the charity event. You invited us to the charity event. And you were just the comments you would say. Like, it was so like, this is who I am, unapologetically so. It goes back to that whole concept that to me, authenticity is the biggest attraction quality somebody can have.
Yeah.
Because I can like pretty much anybody if they're authentic, but it's really hard when there's walls up and there's kind of barriers to that, and you don't know what they're really thinking and what they really feel about you. That's just so hard to have like an authentic or have a good, healthy relationship if there's not that authenticity. So you just plopped down next to us, bro. You just filled up the whole room. It was like there was not an option to not be like pulled into your world. Like it was the Tyler show. And I was so on board for it, bro. I just loved it, man. I was like, dude, this is so damn fun. I love being around people that are just unapologetically who they are. So I don't have as much runway as you guys do together as far as like rattling off maybe the top three, because I haven't had as many interactions with you guys, which is cool because we're having this conversation. And this is how fast, to the guys that don't have friends out there, you can develop really strong brotherhoods really quickly. It's not like you have to have, 20 years of life together. You can have 20 days together and you're like, you're like, dude, I love it. It's just an automatic thing that just happens. And I felt like that was with you, like right out the gates.
Yeah.
I'm going to say one thing on that, because that is so true. You do not like a lifelong bond can happen at any second. And I think the biggest rule, if you're a guy that's always struggled to, make friends, meet friends, whatever, just leave everybody that you meet better than you found them, and it will happen. I really do. Like, just be a guy that people enjoy seeing, and be complimentary. And I just see it. I see if that is your only goal, if you're alone in this world, just start leaving every single person better than you found them, and you'll notice that people want to be drawn to that.
Yeah, and riffing off of that, I think. And I know a lot of guys that do this that don't have a lot of friends. And I also know that they show up with like some level of expectation for what the friendship should look like, right? Like, I'm not getting this, or they're looking for something that they need. Yes. And I think if you're going to be in a healthy friendship, just like if you're going to be in a healthy marriage, you first have to just be healthy with yourself, which is exactly what you're saying. You're not showing up to a social engagement to see what you can get out of it. Like, well, are they going to entertain me? Are they going to be cool? Am I going to like, you're showing up Like Tyler, day one, just like, bro, I'm bringing the energy to the party. A very healthy person that just shows up, and then it invites everybody else to be healthy. And you make these healthy connections with other people who are healthy.
Yeah.
And that's where this whole like really deep friendship can happen almost overnight, dude, where you're just like, man, I was just with these guys. Like, we're just going away from your house that night. Me and Kylie just the whole way back talked about until she passed out. We just talked about how cool.
For about 5 minutes, we had a great conversation.
No, she made it most of the way home. I know, in her defense, it was late, but no, we were just like, dude, that was our energy. Like, that type of energy was just so chill, so relaxed, so fun. Like, no strings attached. Nobody's trying to get something out of it. Nobody had an agenda. It was just super genuine.
Actually, I heard one of our mutual friends, Jimmy, I think you know him as well, Adam, but he said that, and this probably came from like Seneca or Marcus Aurelius or something, but he basically said when we get to the end of our lives, we're not going to be remembered by how much money we had or the material things that we had or our physique or our look or anything else. So the thing that we're going to be remembered by is how we made people feel when we were around them. And I think about my own father, I think is the best model for this, where if you ask 100 people who know Wayne Hall, like,
that's a tough name.
Tell me about Wayne Hall.
Speaking of a cowboy name,
they would 100 people would say, "Man, that guy just makes me feel good." And so I try to, for me, I try to show up to every interaction as sort of to your point, like how do I leave these people better than I found them? How do I make them feel good? One thing that we do as brothers in this room is almost without fail, the first time that we see each other after weeks or months without seeing each other, what do we do?
Well, you say something gay to each other.
We say something gay, but what that means is, dude, you look so good. Yeah. Gosh, man, your smile today, your outfit, we're just constantly complimenting each other. And I think it's in fun, but it's also like totally genuine. Your voice is so deep. It sounds amazing. How do I get that? I feel insecure because it's so deep. And then for Travis, it's your hair and your eyes and we said some other things, but I think that actually goes a long way. Like when your boy compliments you,
Oh, for sure. By the way, going back to that quote, I think Adam might be the first person that actually is remembered for all these things, for how handsome he was and how great his body was, and
there it is.
This is coming from the Mona Lisa, right? the Mona Lisa of friends. You are by far superior in terms of physical beauty than any of my other friends. The rest of us down here. If we took away Travis's physical beauty and your success and your sophistication.
What are you actually left with?
Well, that's what I was going to say. And if we took away your brains, your ability to communicate the energy, the way you fill a room and bring everybody together, if we took all those things away, we're the same person. The three.
Yeah,
exactly.
Have you guys ever read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a standard,
all the time.
But just being hearty in your approbation and lavish in your praise, like, this was probably one of the biggest changes for me. I was so competitive growing up, just constantly sizing people up, and and there's a bunch of reasons for that, whatever. But the bottom line is, things changed for me and my friendships when I started pouring into these friends and pouring into everybody. Constantly, saying these things of just. Tell them, you like their shirt, like the build, like whatever it is. It's just constantly finding the thing that you love about that person, and just being the one that says it. And it's amazing how contagious it is.
So I think, this is like this catalyst or this scale for whether you can, how you can, the litmus test to tell whether you are healthy or not is how you show up to relationships. I think this probably more than anything else in my mind, like this is how I can tell if someone's healthy. If they show up in the relationship, what can I give to this relationship that's a healthy person? If they show up to the relationship, what can I take? Then it's an unhealthy person. And you find people that want to give, and you meet other people that want to give, and then you create these really, really healthy friendships because everybody's just coming to bring something. It's like, what can I give to this situation to make it better? Like you guys have been talking about, to make somebody feel better about themselves. What can I pour into them? And you find other people that reciprocate that, and there's an instant connection. And I think to to that point, for guys that don't have friends, if we're talking to the broader audience, it's like a lot of guys don't have friends, but a lot of guys aren't healthy enough to do that. So it's like, what can I get? I need friends. It's coming from a place of need instead of like, who can I give to? Who can I go out there and make their life a little bit better? Because if you are in that state, then you're largely healthy with yourself. And when you start to give to other people, you'll start making friends. You can't help it. It'll just naturally occur. But if it's constantly this place of what am I getting out of this, or what do I need? I need a friend to make me whole, or I need a friend to make me happy. And you're coming into a relationship needy. That's the quickest way to turn what could be a good relationship into a very unhealthy relationship.
There's something about acting on the inspirations come to mind when it comes to your friends. Like I remember, I think you and I maybe even talked about this in a previous podcast, but I remember being in, just having one of those like moments where you just feel like nothing is going your way. And, maybe you're drawing comparisons, you're starting to go down just these rabbit holes in your mind. And I remember I was out in Florida alone, really like, deeply pensive on a lot of things that were really bothering me at the time, and had the most like come to Jesus prayer ever. Right. And I just let it like truly just let it all out. Like, this is not going to be flowery prayer language. This is going to be just you and I having a conversation. Right. And shortly after that conversation, I get a phone call from Kyle Van Noy. And this is probably the first phone call I've ever received from Kyle Van Noy. Like, we have each other's number, we'll text here and there, that kind of thing. But he called and just started pouring into me right after that prayer. And he may not have any idea the role he played during that, but it was, I believe, God's way of just like, he inspired someone to come and say the words to me that I just needed in that moment. And so I do think there's something so strong about when you do have that friend, and it doesn't really matter what circle they're at, if they're the inner circle or somebody you haven't talked to in 10 years, when they do pop in your mind, shoot that text, make that phone call. Sometimes something's bigger than you going on at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when you have those connections, there's this principle that I talk about all the time, which is the principle of checking in just to check in and for no other reason. And that could be done in a few ways. It could be, I have my list of people that I care and love deeply, and it's 5 people or 100 people. And once a month, I have a reminder that says to check in, and I do that. That's fine. But also, if you feel a prompting, you think about somebody, what does it hurt to take out your phone and say, hey man, just checking in, how are things? And I think a lot of my buddies, I've probably done this with you guys. I'm sure I have. A lot of my buddies, the first time you do it, or you call and you say, hey man, what's up? How are things? Like, good. Yeah. Good. How are you? Like, what's up? What do you need? Mm-hmm. It's like, absolutely nothing. I'm just here to check in. You doing okay? Yeah, man, I'm good. Like, you sure? You really good? And a lot of times when you have that intuition kick in and say, reach out to so-and-so, and you just sit and you listen, and maybe it takes a little probing, all of a sudden they go, you know what? I'm actually going through it today. It's tough. My wife and I are struggling, or, my job's not going well, or whatever's happening in their life. And you can just be there to listen and hold space and say, great. And I think the worst thing you can do is give advice in those situations, unless it's asked for. Just listen and say, hey, I'm with you, and I hear you, and I'm here for you if you ever need anything. So, the suicide rate among men is higher than it's ever been in the history of the world. The depression rate among men is higher than it's ever been in the history of the world. And I think the way to stop that is to do this one thing. It's to check in on your buddies for no other reason than just to check in.
Well, I think it goes back to just what we were talking about at the beginning of this, like how we've evolved, and that's in tribes. And what you're talking about is being a tribe member. It's virtual now for a lot of us because we live in this crazy world. But that's being part of a tribe and pulling somebody into your tribe, which is your superpower, Tyler, in my opinion. You have this gregarious force that's a magnet that just pulls, what I've observed, it just pulls people in. And I think there's very few things you could do or have as a characteristic that is doing more of God's work than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. I think there's a fine balance. This is an entire topic that I really wanted to talk about with you guys. One of the things I really appreciate about all of our brotherhood, specifically with you, Travis.
Just real quick.
Oh yeah, please.
What you just said really stuck with me.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about it. Like doing God's work to pull somebody into your tribe. That's actually really, really profound. That's really interesting. It's like, going back to the survey that says how many men don't have that friendship, don't have a best friend or whatever. It's really interesting to think that you can be a kind of an instrument in God's hand by just reaching out and helping people have friends. I don't know. That hit me.
Those text messages you send out are changing people, man, for sure. I know they have for me when I've received those. And I know that I've been, one of the highest compliments that I feel like I ever receive in my life is when somebody opens up to me like you just described, when someone shares what's actually going on below the surface.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm always like, oh man, I'm doing life right in this moment. Most of the time I'm not. Most of the time, I'm stumbling along. But in this moment, somebody feels like they can trust me enough or they need me enough because of how shitty things are in their world that they're going to tell me exactly what's going on. And I'm not always, we're all busy. We're all doing a million things a minute. And there have been times in my life, probably the times I regret most about my character is when I've been in too much of a hurry to stop. And I try to make those as few and far between as possible. But there've been those moments where I haven't really checked in and thought about it until after the fact. You're going to bed that night and you're like, oh my gosh, dude, he texted me this and I didn't even reply. I forgot because I got caught up with this meeting and it was something that mattered to them they shared something with me and I didn't reply in a way that showed that it was important to me. And that always just makes me feel like shit about myself. And then I try to rectify it as quick as I can. But I just think that what you do, making that concerted effort, you're constructing your life in a way to make people feel like they have a friend out there that inspires me.
Yeah. And look, it can be heavy playing the role of a tribe leader and doing God's work can be heavy. But I think it's important that you don't take the load away from them. Okay. So somebody's going to share something deeply intimate, something they're going through. I've had friends call me and say that they're suicidal. They're thinking about taking their own life. I mean, that's as heavy as it gets, right? And you can't take that away from them. I think there's a duty that we have as tribe leaders to allow them to feel what they're feeling and allow them to go through it, because I think we've all been through things in our own lives, things that are really hard, really traumatic. And I think we would all agree that the best parts of our life came just on the other side of going through something deeply traumatic and deeply hard. And so I think it's our responsibility to say, hey, I'm here for you. You've got a place now. Call me whenever. Come stay whenever. I'll buy you dinner. Whatever you need. But I'm not going to take that burden away from you. That's your burden to carry. Because if you try to do that, you're going to take on everybody else's burdens, and it's going to start to really affect your life. I've done that too, and that leads to all sorts of other challenges.
That's the way of the dark side. That leads to the dark side.
Yeah.
And I think in that too, this just happened this morning, but I was giving a training to some of my sales guys. We were out playing pickleball, so it's like Fun Friday. So they do their correlation pump-up meetings on Fridays. It's like, go do something fun. So we're playing pickleball, and then we're at this park, and we find this rock, and we called it the Sermon on the Rock. So I stand on the rock, and all the guys, because we're not in an office, so they're all gathered around. I give what I would typically give a training in an office, but we're just at a pickleball court. So, and this afterwards, this rep that I'd never met before, or I'd met him, but I don't know him very well. He came up and just grabbed me and started bawling his eyes out and telling me that he was ready to quit yesterday, and now he feels like he's ready to go through this. And I think to your point, you can't do the heavy lifting for anybody. They have to do it. Your arenas, your crucibles, your gardens of Gethsemane that you have to pass through, those are sacred to you. And you have to do that. You have to pass through it. But when you have guys that are cheering you on and people that are like, you can do this, man. Like, I can't do it for you, but I know you can do it. And when you can help orient people, help them recognize in those moments that there's like a positive and a negative truth, right? And both are equally true, the positive and the negative. The positive truth is life is happening for you. The negative truth is life is happening to you. Essentially, that's what it is, right? And both are equally true. You can own that. You can find all the reasons why life is happening to you. You can find all the reasons life is happening for you. But if you can be there with somebody who's struggling not take on their load, but help them see, bro, you are right where you're supposed to be at. This is your time. This is your arena. You're the man in the arena, and all the rest of us salute you, because the guy that's going through it, that's the king for the day. That guy is the king of all other guys, the guy that's in the arena getting his ass kicked. And you're that guy right now, and all eyes are on you. Makes me think of that book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. When you find the meaning in the suffering, and if you can help somebody find meaning in their suffering, that's probably the most powerful thing that you can do in a moment like that, when there's something of a crisis, is to help them see that what they're going through is inspiring to the rest of us.
Yeah. I had a close friend of mine recently who got into some really bad financial trouble, and, you know, I think from a place of desperation, called me and he said, "Hey, I need you to help me out here." And the only thing in the world that I wanted to do was send him a check. But I knew that that wasn't the answer. And so I said, "I'm not going to help you out here. I'm not going to give you $1. I said, "You need to go through this. This is part of your story. This is there's something that you're being taught here that neither of us can see, and it's hard. I get it. But one day you will know why you were in this situation." And he now knows, and he's made it out, and he's good. But I think the bailout there would have been the worst thing possible that his brother could have done for him.
That's the gospel, bro. You were just speaking the gospel.
Yeah. There's this idea that, so one of the things I really appreciate about you guys, Travis, specifically you and I have had some deep one-on-one intimate conversations where I've really opened up and shared some things with you, that things from my past, candidly, that I'm not proud of, but that I find useful to talk about. And I just don't have many men that you can go to that level with, right? And you know some of the things that I'm talking about. The way that you've received me in those situations, the way that you react when I tell you certain things about myself, I think that's one of the greatest gifts that we can bring each other. But I also think there's a fine line between full love and acceptance and holding each other accountable when we need to. So I want to open that can. How do you guys think about, you always want to be there for your brothers. You always want to love them. You always want to accept them with no judgment. But also, there are times when they may cross the line and you need to say, look, you got to do better. You got to be better. Where do you guys draw that line?
I place a lot on intent. Think about how I want to answer this. So I guess I'd call it intent and direction. Like, if you are acting in a way that, I don't know, for some reason, like my dad comes to mind. I think of his life, and I think of how a lot of the things that he did when he was younger. If he had kept doing them, I don't know that I'd have a relationship with him anymore. But he was always trying to, he was learning lessons hard ways, and he was always trying to like become a better man, and ultimately did. I don't feel like I'm answering this question well. So here, ask the question again. Let me get it back in.
Yeah, so I think there's a big difference between full love and acceptance of your brothers and holding them accountable when they need to be held accountable for certain actions and certain things that they've done. You've had an experience, I think, recently maybe, and probably several other experiences throughout your life where you witnessed a brother do something, or they told you something in confidence, and you had to go, look, man, I'm always going to love you, but maybe you crossed the line, right? So how do you balance that full love and acceptance with holding each other accountable?
Ultimately, this is where boundaries come from, and it basically just says, look, I can love you, but how close I let you be, a lot of it depends on what the circumstance is. Is this something you just keep doing and it just is who you are? And if that's the case, I may need to have a boundary if it's something that I can't, that I don't want to be associated with. But at the same time, if, this is something that you truly are working on, it's amazing how much grace I can have for someone in that situation.
Yeah.
A big part of it is, are you taking accountability? Are you looking for reasons why you did it? Like two very different things.
Yeah.
Like if you're taking accountability, you messed up. It's rare that you mess up as opposed to you're constantly messing up. There's so much more grace that can be given in those situations. But I don't want someone to drag me down with them if they're having toxic behavior. I would set boundaries about how much I'm around them, how often they're going to be around my wife, how often they're going to be around my kids, and there's so many pieces to this. Every situation will be different, but to me, boundaries are what keeps relationships healthy. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think I'm going to ride or die with you all the way to the end. It's like, well, I will love you regardless. And and one gift my dad gave me is a gift of forgiveness. Like I can forgive about as well as anybody and move on the whole thing, but I won't be surrounded by a bunch of toxic behavior.
Yeah.
And I won't be surrounded by a bunch of really, really poor standards. I understand having fun every once in a while, all those different things, but if your life as a whole is a lower standard, a lower vibration, and that's just the path you're going down, I'm not pulling myself down with it.
Yeah. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, so I agree. Everything you just said, Travis, and I'll kind of articulate it through my own lens, but I think that's true. So when you're talking about who's in your proximity, I mean, we have a certain finite resource of time and energy that we have at the end of the day. And so you have to be selective about where you spend that. If you don't, you're going to get dragged down. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to get taken advantage of. And you won't be able to take care of the things you need to take care of in your life. So I couldn't agree more with that. And boundaries and accountability are what save marriages more than anything else. And it's what keep friendships healthy more than anything else. But when you talk about when you're in, you have a good friend is what you're talking about, right? Somebody that's already like a really good friend.
And he makes a mistake, a grave mistake, and he's sharing it with you and he's being open. Like at what point do you draw the line and say,
well, so this is my answer to it. And I'll wax a little theological, I guess, for a second. But, when Christ was asked what the two great commandments were, because, he was at this time when there was all these rules and your righteousness was measured by if you could keep all of these rules, then you were good. And if you couldn't, and so they're trying to trick him up, the Pharisees, which one's the greatest, to see if they can snag him on something. He said, love God and love your neighbor. And the first is to love God. And to me, as I've gotten older, I think what Christ was really saying, and I think what God really is to me, ultimately on a pragmatic sense, because we can all imagine what God looks like or whatever else. I think ultimately we're kind of striving for our own ideal version in the clouds of what a God is, a version of ourself that we think is better than us. But I think ultimately God, what should be worshiped always is the truth. And I think that's what God is. So I think what Jesus was saying is love the truth first. Then you're able to love everybody else. Because indulgence isn't love. Indulgence is self-love. You're making them feel good or validating them because you don't want to be the bad guy and you don't want to do the heavy lifting of telling them the truth. And so to me, there's not really a line there. If I feel like they're doing something they shouldn't do, I have to love the truth first if I really love them. And so you just have to tell them. That doesn't mean I don't accept them. I'm not throwing any stones. And I hate the concept now, the older I've gotten, of good and evil. I hate it. I think it's like what's healthy and unhealthy. Let's take out the moral high ground out of this. Because when you label somebody or what they're doing as evil, which people do all the time, especially the religious, I was raised very religious, at the essence, what you're really saying is that you're evil or you've done something evil and I wouldn't have done it if I were in your shoes. And you have no way of making that claim. You have no idea what cards they were dealt. You have no idea what experiences have led them to this point. You have really no idea, even as much as they tell you, you don't know what's going on inside of them. So I think you can totally accept somebody exactly as they are without any judgment. I don't know if I would do anything differently than you. I probably wouldn't, if I'm being honest. If I was in the exact same situation with the exact same makeup as you, the exact same background, I would probably do the exact same thing. However, I would want someone to tell me the truth, because as painful as the truth is the only way to heal. It's the only way that you can actually start to make you heal a wound by putting it in the sunlight. You don't bury it in the dark. Like you open this up and say, I love you enough to tell you the truth. And so I try to do that. I don't hold myself up as some sort of great example of it, but I always try to shoot it to my buddy straight, but I try to do it in a loving way without any sense of judgment on them. Like, I'm disappointed in you or whatever that may come. You're being bad right now. It's more like, you can do a lot better than this, bro. And I'm going to be the one that tells you that because I actually care about you.
What is that saying? You're not what you do. You're what you continually do. And so my question is, was this a mistake or is this who you are?
Your character. Yeah.
Is this who you're trying to become? Right. Huge difference between the two. If you don't see it as a mistake, right, that's an issue. But I agree with you. And by the way, I totally agree with that point on good and evil. Like, I think we are so busy calling, things that are not even on that scale evil and trying to create sin where it's not. I do think evil exists and you know it when you see it, but there's a huge difference between making mistakes and sinning or being evil or something of that nature. But that is a drum that is beat quite a bit. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I think to the point of grace, I think a lot of men, when they make a mistake, we have a really hard time accepting pure grace from Christ. We just tear ourselves down. I'm an idiot. I'm never going to be the same. I'm untrustworthy. I'm not loyal, whatever words that we want to use to tear ourselves down. But I think grace can be transferred through men here on earth. And so when you have a brother that gives you that grace, I think it's the same as receiving that grace from Christ himself. So I think it's, we can be stewards for Christ-like attributes, and grace maybe being the greatest of all, grace and forgiveness. And so I love that point.
There's I think it's one of the most intimate parts of any relationship, whether it's with your spouse or with a best friend, when there is a need for grace and there is a need for change, and the person does change, they do receive grace in that relationship. That's about as intimate as it gets. Like, if you made a mistake with, disappointing your wife and she, you change the behavior and she forgave you and you move on, your relationship will be stronger. And that moment of forgiveness and grace is about one of the most intimate feelings you can feel from another person.
Yeah, that's profound. It's good.
To wrap up this section, and then we're gonna riff on just one other topic here. 20 years from now, what do you hope that we're still doing together?
Exactly what we're doing right now. Being stupid, being lighthearted, being immature, being profound, doing podcasts over at Travis's house. Hopefully we've shot some grizzlies in Kamchatka at that point and maybe made it out to Kazakhstan. Got some notches in our belt, Yeah, it's my 2 cents.
What was the question again?
20 years from now, what do you hope that we're all doing together?
I agree. I've really enjoyed my life. I've really, really enjoyed my life. And so I just want more of it. I've had successes. I've had failures. I've learned lessons. I've been, surrounded with great friends. I've had wonderful memories. I've an incredible relationship. Like, just give me more. I'm happy now.
We were having this conversation in the gym yesterday. It was, Stone. Have you met Stone?
Bro, all of your friends have got the coolest names. Stone, Fire.
I think Stone was thinking about coming last time, but I don't think Stone came.
Oh yeah. We were trying to get him to rally.
Stone, don't you?
Yeah.
So I'm at the gym with Stone. I'm with another buddy, and we're playing this.
I want to go to the gym with a guy named Stone.
Taylor, just Taylor.
Does he have a nickname?
No. Well, I call him the Eye of Sauron, actually. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So or sometimes just Sauron. Because he sees all, dude, and he's ever present. So,
Eye of Sauron.
So that's we don't call him that in text message, but yeah. So we're having this. This is a little off topic, but to your point, because we were literally just having this conversation yesterday. We're in the gym. We're like, maybe this life we're on repeat over and over again, and we experience all of these different perspectives. We come back as a little Asian girl, or as a, poor, peasant in France, or whatever. You live all these different lives. We're just kind of speculating on that, and then we were asking, well, what would you be? Like, if you could pick anything that you would be, if you could pick it anywhere in history or whatever, what would you be? And the consensus, we were all like, what we're doing right now. Like, I would pick this. And my buddy Stone, he's had a really, really and he would probably be mad at me for even saying this and phrasing it this way, not because it's personal, because he'll tell you this, but he's had a pretty rough background. He won't say that. He just will tell you kind of the facts, but he grew up in the inner city LA, rough places, saw some of his closest friends get shot next to him, raised by a single mom, just really, really tough places. And he was saying, like, man, if I knew when I was 18 years old, like, that I'd be where I'm at right now, I wouldn't believe it. Like, I wouldn't believe where I'm at right now. He's a business partner with me with creating a show. He does a lot of the content with me. We work together now. And it was kind of like this epiphany for all of us. Like, if you don't quit, if you just keep going through life and you never lay down and you keep leaning into that positive truth versus the negative truth, and you don't become a victim, you don't get lost in this hero's journey, you will ascend out of it and you'll come into this life that you just absolutely love. I think that's true for like everybody. If you just keep going, you'll get to a point. And I didn't feel the way I feel now about answering this question. 8 years ago or 6 years ago, I was in a completely different frame of mind. And now I'm just like, man, life is so freaking amazing. I know this is off topic from the brother topic, but
I guess I can riff on that.
Yeah.
You guys, you'll enjoy talking about this with your buddies. Okay. What you were talking about reminds me of, I believe it's called the egg theory. Ever heard this?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's what it's called. And if you mix that with, you couple that with the infinite universe theory as well, it's really fascinating, because we would say that Christ, we live this life. I live it as, Travis Prince, you're living it as your own, and we're trying to become more Christ-like. But to your point, is this on repeat? Do we come back as an Asian woman or something of that nature, right? And if we did, you can imagine how much more you would learn and how much more you'd grow. Well, the egg theory is basically saying that, if I'm getting it right, I don't know if fact checks me on this, but that in order to become God, you have to live the life of every single person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very interesting way of looking at it, because it will change the way you look at other people.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking, when is it my turn to be that guy, and go through that? Now, the infinite universe actually makes it mathematically possible for that to happen. Right now I could stand up and walk out that door and go do something else right now, right? That option is available to me from a decision standpoint, of going left or right, that kind of thing. The infinite universe, that actually is happening. That is all happening.
All
right?
options are happening.
And so it actually is possible for someone to live the life of every single person, which is kind of crazy, and I do believe that would make you more godlike than the way that we look at it right now.
See, that theology makes so much more sense to me than a lot of the stuff that we get out of like organized religion. I've always thought, reincarnation makes a lot of sense for that reason, because how we're going to learn from one small blip on this
Mm-hmm.
planet, how are you going to learn? We don't learn very much
Right.
in 80 years if you're lucky, But I've always thought, man, every single life is a thread in the canvas that God is making, and all threads, light and dark, the contrast, they make this art what it is. And that whether we live different lives, or whether we come back to some great cosmic fireside and trade war stories, and your experience becomes my experience, and my experience becomes your experience, and we recognize that everything that happened in this conscious state was beneficial for all of us, whatever that life looked like, no matter how miserable it was, no matter how happy it was, impoverished it was, wealthy it was. All of those are data points, contrasts, they're context to what it means to be a conscious decision-making entity.
Mm-hmm.
I want to try something here to wrap this portion on Brotherhood. We were in a group text a couple of weeks ago, and Adam was like, hey, do you guys care if my buddies come? And their names were like Stone and Warrior, Gentle War, like the names of these guys were just like
He-Man.
Bone
Crushers, one of them.
Bone Crusher.
Pony Boy, I got a bunch. I can start rattling off.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do here, Adam. Adam, I would like for you, we talked about that the three of us have some of the most basic stock white names that exist. So will you go ahead and come up with nicknames for Travis and I before we wrap?
Here's the problem with
No.
that. I gotta.
I get it, dude.
I have to offer. No, it's not that. It's the muse, man. You know, when the muse turns up and it just fits, you can't force the muse. Like I could come up with something right now just to be funny or whatever, but it wouldn't.
We won't hold you to it. That's
it
okay,
wouldn't be the
funny.
muse. Is that what you're asking for? Some sort of,
this doesn't need to stick.
It doesn't have to be the
This
staple.
isn't your spiritual name, because I feel like these are the spiritual
But it could
names. We
be.
have our, you know, birth names.
It could be. You never know.
Can't force it, bro. I don't. At least I don't think. I've never experienced it being forced. Nor can you give yourself your own name, right? You can't come up with your own name. Tyler, you would be.
Take your time.
Poor guy's on the spot.
See, I got to get the muse going, man. That creative muse has to show up. Maybe we'll come back to this. Give me a little bit of time within
I'm going somewhere like Buddha, like Zen, you know, some sort of something with this.
Okay,
guy,
let's collaborate, because there's a lot more creativity and collaboration. So let's you and I, Travis, pick out what.
Maybe it's bonsai.
Maybe it's T for texture. Texture. Maybe it's bonsai. Bonsai is good. Sensei.
Yeah,
Sensei is not bad. That's pretty tough. You are the sensei. You brought us here. You're like the Shaolin monk that's like finding out if the young grasshoppers are ready to leave the Shaolin, if we can snatch the pebble from your hand.
I like that.
yeah.
You guys concur that that's a good nickname?
Yeah.
Okay. At least for today.
Sensei.
Okay.
Okay, you are sensei.
What about Travis?
Travis would be, I mean, I said the Mona Lisa earlier, so it might be the Mona Lisa.
I'm down.
You guys
Mona
are okay
Lisa.
with that?
Yeah, I
I'm
think
down.
Mona Lisa was a little bit of the muse right there. That was a little bit of spark of
with
muse.
like Michelangelo or something.
Yeah,
But.
it could be Michelangelo. I mean, he looks like a Michelangelo. If I were to see somebody cast as Michelangelo, he'd look just like you.
Michelangelo. Let's do that.
I
was
could
just
be
at
the
the
Ninja
Vatican.
Turtle, or it could be Michelangelo did David, right?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Is David.
You were sculpting that.
I was trying to be David.
His
That's
unit
it.
really small, bro.
No, but Michelangelo was also actually, that would have been, who's the other artist that was the young up-and-comer during Michelangelo's time? Doesn't matter. Michelangelo it is.
Cool.
I like that. You like that? Or Mona Lisa? I mean, Mona Lisa was very muse effect.
Mona
so,
Lisa was more muse, and it has a little more humor to it.
Yeah.
Michelangelo sounds more like we're striving too hard.
It's a lot to say.
Even though I would cast you as Michelangelo, it seems to fit in reality, but the names have to be a little off the cuff. So I would say Mona Lisa.
Do you have a nickname?
Well, my nickname's self-given, so it doesn't really count.
What is it?
All my buddies call me Juice Tiger.
Where did that come from?
So,
How did this not come out until now?
Yeah.
well, it used to be my handle on Instagram.
You think you know a guy.
Yeah. So have you guys ever seen the movie So I Married an Axe Murder with
Great movie.
so
A
good.
juice tiger.
Exactly, dude. we used to watch that movie on repeat when I was a kid because it was so funny. And she's all like, he goes home. Mike Myers goes home, and his mom, who's a Scottish, whoever, she's all like buying all this stuff on infomercial, and she's trying to. But it's a juice tiger. It's like a blender that she buys, and so like
juice tiger.
the juice tiger. And so I use that like as my Halo handle. So I was just Juice Tiger, dude.
We loved that movie so much. We thought it was so funny that my brother was dating a girl, and
Look at Travis with this microphone real quick. It's so
Sorry,
funny.
dude.
He's literally
I know, I'm all over the place. So I've got so my brother is dating this girl, and we think that movie is so funny that he was like, she had never seen it. He's like, I can't believe you haven't seen this. They go watch it. She didn't find it funny at all. I'm pretty positive they broke up.
They should have
As he should,
immediately. We were talking about humor earlier. Like if you can't share humor is like the medicine for life. If you can't laugh at things and be like, dude, this is just so
It's
ridiculous.
them on the roof right now.
Yeah. On the roof right now, fight. When he kicks her in the crotch, she's like, she kicks him, he kicks her back. It's so funny.
So funny.
I could riff on like one-liners from that all night. We could do a whole show on just like one-liners.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I like Apple Jacks. We didn't have those other things.
Yeah, those other things.
No, that's all right. I'm a huge fan of Apple Jacks.
Silver dollar pancakes.
Oh my gosh. Good movie.
What are your guys' parting thoughts on Brotherhood? Travis, start with you.
I'll probably finish the way that I started. Is that, it is. There's going to be so much more enrichment in life. So many more memories. You'll land yourself in so many different places that you never would have been if you'll just surround yourself with a bunch of good men.
Yeah.
You'll have a happier life.
Yeah. I will say this, and I will stand by this till the day I die. It's not good women that make good men. It's good men that make good men. It's good men that make good men. Good women complete good men, but they don't make them. We're forged in our brotherhoods. That's where we develop. That's where we thrive. And if you want to have good brothers, which to me is my family, and in some ways, I love my biological family to death. I owe everything to them. But in so many ways, the family that I've chosen is closer to me than the family that I'm blood related to. That's my family. That's a reflection of who I am. If you want to have good brothers, you have to be a good brother.
Amen. 3 months ago, I went to Istanbul, Turkey, and I did a hair transplant. And I'm flying home a day later, and my head is swollen, and it's bloody, and I've got my headband on, and it's dark, and everybody's asleep. It's the middle of the night. And I'm touching my head, and I had this like super emotional experience there by myself on this plane. And the emotion came from the fact that I had this realization that maybe for the first time in my life, I did something just for me, like just to love myself and take care of myself. And for the majority of my life, and I think a lot of men are in this same spot today, we do not put our oxygen mask on first. We go straight to our family. We go straight to our loved ones, our parents, whoever it is, and we forget to take care of ourselves. And so it's really inspired me to start taking self-care a lot more seriously. And so that's my mental health. That's my physical health. That's my appearance. It's how I smell. It's my grooming. It's all of it. So I want to just riff with you guys for a little bit on your routines around self-care. So let's maybe start with this. Like, what are things that you guys do, Travis, starting with you, on a daily basis, like that you do not miss, that are showing yourself love and care?
One thing that the very first thing that came to mind is I keep my thoughts as positive as possible, especially I really pay attention to where my confidence levels are at, and it's something that's always kind of come naturally to me, but if I see that slipping at all, then I will immediately get on different motivational, whether it's podcasts or different tracks or whatever. So, but I always pay attention to that. I'm also a very, very early riser. It's a little bit.
What time do you get up?
I only need about 6 would be tops hours of sleep. It's all messed up right now because I have 3 kids under 3. But that early rise is always a thing that I've been a part of. I'd love to say I went to the gym every day like you do and like Justin does, but I don't every day. But I definitely try, like, I really enjoy walks as well. Like, I absolutely love walks. And if I don't get one in the morning, I usually will be able to do one during the work day, or I'll do one at night. And that's the time where I'll put a headphone in and just call whoever I want to call, and just have, like, I noticed that actually is one of my favorite things to do, is just walk and talk with different buddies of mine. I don't know. What habits you guys have?
What do you do on a daily basis, Adam?
Daily. So yeah, I'm not going to try and flex on Travis because he's going to beat me on this with 4. I used to pride myself on 5 to 6 hours of sleep. Like, I'm pretty tough. Now I got to try and get 7. Like, I've really tried to reorient myself towards sleep. So I'm trying to get 7 plus. It's never 8, but sometimes I'll get like 7:15 to just when I go to bed. Every morning I'm up at 5 o'clock with the exception of Sunday. I'll sleep in on a Sunday, which is usually like 6 or 6:30. So I'm up at 5 o'clock every morning. The first thing that I do is I drink a ton of water. I got an Algene bottle, and I'll drink 2 of those. So I'll drink 1, and then through my morning routine, I'll drink another one. So just tons of water. I do a face ice bath first thing. I got like a snorkel.
I've seen the video.
You saw that?
It's fantastic.
It's so weird looking, but I put my face, it's cold. I get that water and I move it. So I keep the water cold. So I'll do that for like 4 or 5 minutes. I'll keep my face in the cold water. And then it's meditation for me. So I'm up, no one else is awake. I will do like usually 30 to 45 minutes of meditation with music. I usually light a candle. It's a whole thing.
What do you do, a guided meditation or?
I've done some guided meditations, and I probably should do more because you learn a lot from them and you get more, tools in your arsenal. But no, it's just like it's one where then meditation, I try to completely clear my head of all thoughts, all conscious thoughts, initially. And it's this breathing technique that I do. And then I go into a place of trying to connect with the divine, orient myself towards God, towards the truth, and feel like I'm making that connection. And then it's followed usually by some stages of manifesting what I want out of life. So manifesting what's best for my kids, manifesting what's best for my wife, manifesting what my day is going to look like, manifesting health changes. Dude, this is a true story. So sorry, I'm riffing for a minute, but I got a hernia for the first time a couple of years ago. Never had a hernia. And I knew immediately what it was. I was like, what is that? I'm feeling down there. I was like, got this bulge. And I went into a doctor. Doctor's like, yeah, that's a hernia. I went back to a second doctor, got a second opinion. Yeah, that's a hernia. Went into the doctor. During this time, though, I started just manifesting. So I read everything. Yeah, you got to get surgery. That's what happens when you get a hernia. But I'm like manifesting my body healing. I'm like, I really don't want to do surgery. I don't want to be held up, not be able to go to the gym or whatever. And so for like 2 weeks during these doctor visits, I was manifesting my body healing itself. I've never done anything like this before. So this is the first go at it. And I went into the surgeon to have him do a checkup. I think this is how it was all playing out. And it was completely gone. I don't know if it went away on its own or not. I can't say that. But I was manifesting my body healing it. Like I was visualizing it in my head every morning as part of this meditation. So I meditate, and then I will usually read scriptures. I always read, it's either Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. I don't read anything else nowadays. I've read the Bible a bunch of times and read the Book of Mormon a bunch of times, but I'll just read what Jesus said, because I feel like that's the most inspiring text that I have for how to be the best man that I can be. So I read that every single morning. And then usually at that point, I'll write a little bit, like 15 minutes, 10 minutes of writing, sort of like a insights journal, stuff from my meditation, whatever. And then I'm getting the kids up, getting them ready for school, feeding them a big breakfast. I always feed them, that's not self-care, but I'll feed them like avocado, eggs, bacon, toast, try and get them something really healthy. And then the gym, and that's my self-care. Sometimes pickleball, but that's daily.
Manifestation is such an incredible topic. I remember diving into it. I did a practice with Justin one time. He sat down with Jenny and I and had us just brainstorm. Like, I think the question was, if you could just design the most incredible life and you had these things happen, you met these people, you gave to that charity, you had this home, this, whatever it is, right? And we just went and wrote it all out. Then he had us put a time limit to it within 10 years. So like, which of these things will take 10 years to accomplish, which are 5, which are 3, which are 1. Mm-hmm. And so let's say I had 50 things on that list. It was I would say 2.5 years, maybe 2 years after that, I've had 26 of them just checked off. And it blew my mind to go back and revisit that list.
It is so crazy.
It blew my mind to go back there. Because I was one of those that probably thought it was kind of hokey. Even the word manifestation was kind of hokey. But that is something I want to tap into and learn more about, because I mean, even like one of the things I had on there was an African safari, like to go hunting. I didn't have that on the list. All of a sudden, Justin happened to buy one in a charity auction, and we were there last November. So and it literally got home about 2 weeks before my boy was born. So it just was nothing planned. But just put it out there in the universe and make your order.
I absolutely believe, I'm a firm believer, and I feel like you learn how to do it better, and I don't feel like I'm good at it. That was the first time and only time I've ever tried to heal something about me was that. And maybe that was it. Maybe it would have gone away on its own. I can't say, but I have manifested things in my day, because I'll manifest my day ahead of me. I'm like, okay, I got this. How am I going to execute in this? But I have multiple times manifested something that I would put on the scale as rather miraculous. And it happened. And I don't know how to explain it, except that I put, we're living in this state of energy, and you're putting energy into it. And something happens when you do that.
Yeah, it becomes reality. The blessing and the curse of manifestation, though, is you can also manifest really negative things in your life, right? So if every day you wake up and your thoughts are negative and the people you're around are negative, well, the outcomes of your life are going to become negative. And to that
point, though, can I say something? Because I think this is so profound. So I wake up probably like most men my age do. I don't know. You guys can say how you feel, but I wake up most mornings feeling like shit. I usually wake up feeling like anxiety sloshing around in my gut. I usually wake up feeling some sort of depression that comes on. It's not severe, but it's just there. It's like this companion. Not every morning, but most mornings I wake up, there's something that's kind of going on. My dad had it. He called it the black dog. I think that's what Winston Churchill called it because he had a lot of depression and stuff. So it's the black dog that I wake up with. And if I just peel, to your point, if I just peel my face off the pillow, we're talking about self-care. If I just peel my face off the pillow, slept in late, try to race off to work, I carry that with me all day long. When I do this routine that I'm talking about, by the time I'm done with it, I feel like I can run through walls and it's gone. The black dog is gone. But if I don't do something to take ownership of that first thing in the morning, for me, it's face, ice bath, meditation, drinking water, reading scriptures, writing. It's my companion for the rest of the day.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill wrote this book, Think and Grow Rich. Are you guys familiar with this book? And it's the general idea is that our thoughts become our reality, right? And to go a step further, I would say that if you want to amplify that, your words become your reality. So actually speaking these things into existence, I think scientifically proves that the probability of the outcome happening is exponentially higher than if you just think them. Right. So looking at yourself in the mirror and telling yourself, first of all, like, I love you and you're the man and you got this and you can go do this. But then saying, here's the goals that I have in my life and saying those things out loud on a daily basis. There's something about speaking that into existence that's incredibly powerful.
And another layer to it, writing it.
Yeah.
Another layer to that of energy that you impose into this interface thing that we call consciousness, Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Do you guys have a wind down routine before you go to bed?
I feel like my routines are so shot right now.
This is a good reminder.
Oh my goodness.
It's a great
reminder. Because I'm thinking my routines and really what it comes down to is I know exactly how I'm putting my kids down. I will say that's become a really, really fun thing. I have affirmations I do with my youngest that can talk, which is my oldest at 3. But he always likes to have a little bit of a drink of water right before he goes to bed, right? So before I give that to him, after he's all tucked in and we've done the story time, we've done all that, I'll run him through some affirmations, okay? And we have little motions to go with it as well. So all I have to do is go like this, and then he'll be like, I am strong. I can point the third eye, and he goes, I am confident. I go like this, he goes, I can do hard things. Like this, I can do anything. And then we go like this, that's sign language for I am kind. And I go like this, I am loved. And I knew I was missing one. So lately we go like this, that's I'm grateful. And he does it every night. I'm going to do it with all my kids. I want to find more,
Will you send those to me? What you just said? Will you text that to me?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do little affirmations with my kids, but that's better than what I'm doing.
Well, that's the thing is I want to find more things because it becomes like a handshake.
Yeah.
Like we know exactly what we're doing.
I love that.
I do it with all my kids, but that's become one of my favorite parts of the night, every night. After that, our wind down. So, I've got the kids down 7, 8 o'clock. And then really more often than not, I'm spending my time with Jen at that point.
Yeah. You have a wind down routine?
I do. And it's kind of evolved just recently, actually. So full disclosure, I've always wrestled with sleeping well. It's always something I've struggled with. It's a fickle friend. Sometimes I sleep great. Other times I'm just tossing and turning all night. So I started using indica at night to sleep initially, and it was fantastic. It worked. And then what I found is if I started a couple of hours earlier, I got more of the benefit, which just chills me out because I'm redlined from the day. You got all this stress from the day. You got all this stress for tomorrow, and it's really hard to get to a place that's largely probably why I don't sleep well is because I didn't have a great enough wind down routine, and so I've not been as good as you at night with the kids. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it was kind of like just get the kids to the punchline, which is to bed. It's like just go. It's checking off the responsibility boxes. And we fed the kids. We got them showered. We read some scriptures. We said some prayers. Get them in bed. And then I thought I could wind down. So I'd take a little bit of this indica before, and I would just be super present with them. Like it just chilled me out. And it actually, in so many ways, I'm not endorsing it for anybody, but it made me like a better dad at night because instead of trying to get them in bed, I'd be like, hey, how was your day? Yeah, I just like super
You're the
chilled
second
out.
dad that's told me that.
It worked, but it like anything, there's pros and cons to it. And what I found is like I'm probably not getting great sleep. I've also struggled with memory and stuff like that as I've been on it, short-term memory stuff. So I've gotten off of that. Now at the end of the night, we have a whole routine. We've always had a routine with the kids. You're inspiring me to make it a better routine, so thanks for that. So it's a routine. We get the kids in bed, and then Kylie and I will almost always watch a show together. And then we walk the dog at night around 10 o'clock. We'll walk the dogs down to the corner of our cul-de-sac. And it's just her and I, and we're just talking. And it's such a vibe for us. Come back. And then I'm a praying man, I guess. I'm a praying man. I used to kneel down and do the whole thing next to the bed. Now, and it's helped me. I don't use indica except occasionally on the weekends now. I'll lay in bed and I just talk to God. It's just conversation. I don't do something formal. And I'll just talk to him in my head about my day. And I'll just, how much I look over at Kylie. I'm so blessed to have her, man. Thank you. She's just the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm thinking about my kids and I have these conversations and I drift off to sleep. And that's probably pretty much sums up my nightly routine.
That's beautiful.
One thing that, it sounds like you struggle with sleep like I do. I found that when I was doing like an actual routine, like, whether it was lights off this time or read the book here or whatever, for some reason getting into a routine was waking me up before I went to bed.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I haven't quite figured it all out yet. But yeah, putting a routine together, I was like, okay, now I'm almost like you're starting your morning,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I can see that.
I don't know.
So yes, I think sleep for me is one of these that's incredibly important. I actually don't function well if I don't have 7 minimum. Usually it's 8 or 9 hours of sleep. So I actually retire to bed really early, usually around 9 o'clock. And for me, I had a guy on my podcast maybe a year ago named Todd Anderson who started a company called Dream Recovery, and it's a mouth tape company. So have you guys ever used mouth tape when you sleep?
I've heard of it, but I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't done it, but I probably need to.
I mean, mouth tape is next level. I mean, this changed my life.
It's because you sleep with your mouth open?
Yeah.
Is that the benefit? It keeps your mouth closed?
I think pretty much everybody technically sleeps with their mouth open unless you lock it shut. Basically, at some point throughout the night, you could see in your sleep pattern that you're not getting the right amount of REM sleep. You're not getting the right amount of deep sleep. You're not retiring to bed quickly enough. And so when you put that mouth tape on, it allows you to sleep a lot better because you're breathing everything in through the nose, right? And so your mouth becomes really disruptive at night when it's open and you're taking in big swaths of breath, whether it's snoring or it's just affecting your ability to get into a deep and REM cycle. And so I use a couple of things that I do is no water 2 hours before bed. And so you actually want to go to bed like thirsty. Because then the probability of you waking up to have to go to the restroom in the middle of the night is like 0, right? So no water 2 hours before bed, no screens an hour before bed. Screens are one of these things that really affect our sleep, even if you can get to sleep. If you look at the pattern recognition that they've done, thousands of studies on this, screens are like one of the worst things you can do an hour before you go to bed. And then the setting of where you're sleeping is actually a lot more important than I think a lot of people understand. So that's the darkness in the room, it's the sounds in the room, it's the smells in the room. And so things that I use there are obviously the mouth tape is one. I use an eye mask, like a really nice eye mask that's super comfortable. You almost don't feel like it's there, but it's pitch black. So even if there's little lights, like our light switches have this little blue dot on it. Like even so much as that little blue dot can have an effect on your sleep, right? So I wear an eye mask, and now I can't sleep without these things. I turn on brown noise. So there's different types of sounds that depending on who you are, you might like white noise or pink noise.
What's the difference?
Brown noise. What's that?
In these noises, I've heard these different terms. I don't actually know what the difference is between white noise and brown noise. I didn't even know there was pink noise.
Yeah, so
I didn't know this until our babies.
So this is brown noise.
Like a fan.
Similar to a fan. This is white noise.
Higher pitched, is that what it is?
Yeah, you hear that?
Pitch, yeah.
This is pink noise. So it sounds more like a waterfall almost. This is blue noise. So you hear those subtle differences. But for me, brown, this one, it's the low kind of frequency, low pitch is the best. And so some people like rain. So I have a white noise app that plays all night, every night. So for me, it's brown noise, but I think the combination of no water, no screens, the eye mask, the mouth tape, and the noise, and some people even prefer certain smells, right? So you might light a little candle in the corner of the room for 10 minutes and get that aroma going. And there's certain candles that are meant for sleep. They're meant to help you sleep better. So
Yeah, that's
I think the combination of those things, I think sleep is like the catalyst for you being able to wake up and have a productive morning and a productive routine. And there's this concept called the sleep-wake cycle, that when you optimize your sleep cycles, it optimizes the time that you're awake, right? So it's this like reciprocal cycle that when you sleep well, you're awake well, and when you're awake well, then you sleep well again. So I love that one.
You know, something else I do in the morning, you just made me think of this, and I got this from Andrew Huberman talking about your circadian rhythms. You're getting direct sunlight in your eyes as soon as you can.
Oh, yeah.
Not like looking directly at the sun, but not putting sunglasses on and going outside. Like when the sun comes up, my window faces where the sun rises in my office. And so that helps. And then I'll usually try to go outside pretty early in the morning when the sun's up and just try and get some of that sun. That does seem to help too.
Yeah. Much more effective if you're not doing it through a window, by the way.
Right, correct. I try to go outside when I can, which is I can every morning. Sometimes I just forget to.
Yep. Last one for you guys, and then we'll wrap this. Do you guys have a go-to playlist, scent, or product that instantly gets you in the zone when you're feeling a little bit off?
I do. Yeah, I've got a playlist. I call it my breathwork playlist. I have it saved on Spotify. And I also have my cosmic meditation playlist. So I've got two different playlists. One's more upbeat if I need to be like higher energy. One's more calming, much more calming. And I'll do that. What you said, I resonated with me where, and I don't do this well enough, take stock of where I'm at with my energy levels, you know, like but I'm getting better at that. I've been working on that a lot lately. So like, yeah, taking stock of like, dude, I'm really low energy right now or whatever. I can do breath work now with music. So I always do it with like a sort of quick meditation. I can do something in like 2 or 3 minutes and it will significantly change my energy state.
Yeah. What about you?
So I created a playlist. I've got two. One is just a bunch of songs that I like, and another that I call Good Vibes. And it could be anything from, a song I heard at brunch to something I heard poolside in Cabo, whatever. It will just take me to certain places. For example, whenever I did a cold plunge, I played the same song every time. It was 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I first heard it during one of the concerts up at Sundance, and it was just a euphoric time. And
what song is it?
Roses by Chainsmokers.
I'm going to get it right now.
It's fantastic. And for whatever, it puts me in a good mood every single time. So I really enjoy that type of thing. I definitely have my meditation apps and that kind of thing. But for me, it's usually more if I want to lift the energy. If I can get more, get the energy lifted, I'm going to be in a good mood.
Yeah.
And so something that either reminds me of the fun moments I've had, or that gets, makes me want to dance or something like that. We'll do dance parties with my little family all the time. A lot of times when I come home from work, from like a business trip, Jen will have like this kind of music going and the kids will all be dancing. One of my favorite things, so that's what I pay attention to, is the music that makes me want to move.
Yeah, I've got a couple that I use, right? So some of the things we've talked about today, and I don't want men out there listening to feel discouraged thinking, hey, you've got to spend 30 minutes or an hour doing these crazy routines every day, right? So there's these little micro habits that I think you can implement in 30 seconds or a minute a day, or when you're feeling a certain kind of way that can change everything. So one of those is cold water for me. So cold plunge, cold shower, cold on the face. Cold water is one of the best ways to naturally improve your mood, right? Mm-hmm. Instantly. Mm-hmm. So if you're off, you're not having a good day, it's middle of the day, jump in a cold shower. Like I know everybody doesn't have access to a cold plunge, for example. Get some ice in a bucket and put your face in it, right? Sounds silly, but it will change your mood drastically. The other one, Huberman talked about this, is actually just looking up. So not with your head, but with your eyes, looking up to the ceiling for 30 seconds straight. And I don't know all the science behind it, but this stuff works. You guys could try it right now while we're talking. If you look up to the ceiling for 30 seconds straight, you will feel completely different than you felt moments before doing this. Okay. And then the third one for me is breath work, right? So I'm a big like breath work journey guy. I love doing hour-long guided breath work meditations. You feel that?
Yeah.
That's nice right there. So, but breath work can be done in 30 seconds, a box breathing pattern, right? Even just a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Do that 2 or 3 times and your mood will change drastically. So, I want men out there to know that, hey, every single day we're going to be carrying this type of weight, right? You're going to have your moments, but you can actually fix those things in 30 seconds or a minute if you just have a couple of these hacks. So,
let me say a couple of things. So one is one of the things I try and be intentional about. So for any of you dads that have kids, spend 20 minutes with each of them, especially if they're young, living in your house, and love to play and all that. If you can do 20 minutes of uninterrupted time with them, like each one individually, you'll be amazed what that does to your relationship with your kids.
I can attest to that.
That one is just absolutely,
which
is crazy. I've got 3. That's 20. That's an hour, right?
Yep.
And one of them's an infant. I'll just lay next to him and do that, but 20 minutes in a 24-hour day.
And that is actually a high form of self-care.
Right. I realize it's pouring into them.
You're pouring into them, but at least for me, like I know what I do. I come home, my little boy, a little 2-year-old, I do the same thing. It's interesting. I'll wrestle with him when I get home from work or at some point in the evening. He just loves to wrestle. So I'm just flipping him on the couch and tossing him around, and man, it just lifts my soul up. And then my youngest daughter, I sit in bed with her and tickle her back and talk to her. And when she's going to bed, my oldest daughter, I'll go down and just talk to her. And my son, I've got time with him because every night I have him, he's doing some sports and I drive him there. So it's us in the car just talking about stuff. It's huge. It's massive.
Guys, thanks. Appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to come and do this. And I really love and respect you guys and just look up to both of you. So appreciate you guys pouring into these men today.
Likewise, brother.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.